Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Fatemeh. I hope you're doing well.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you so very much, Fatemeh, for being with us today and live and after such a long time.
Thank you to you for making time for putting so much efforts and energy for Read Pakistan and for making that happen.
Thank you so very much. We had already informed people, we have sensitized them about our session today. And today that we're going to talk about books. Let me just briefly introduce everybody with our notion. And first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Syeda Fatima Hasan Gilani. I'm the CEO of Read Pakistan, also the founder. And Read is basically an NGO, you can rather say, or a think tank that has been working upon instigating the reading habit in people and sort of integrating the culture into the reading modalities. We have developed modules. We have developed 53 libraries, alhamdulillah. And so by this time, we know that there has been a lot of research in the international market as well. And comparing that with the standard of reading that we have in Pakistan, it is sort of unfortunate to see that the reading habit has not been instilled and cultured or integrated in the proper manner that it's supposed to be in the international community. So for that, we have been working, and it has been around a decade. So we are working, and we will be, inshallah, till the time that we're here. So today, people who are listening to us, they should be knowing that we have a very old, very dear friend, the ambassador of Read Pakistan as well. And I'm going to give the intro of Miss Fatemeh Kamali, and she is with us already. It has been shared with the people who were with us, of course, who were looking at the posters, and they know that Fatemeh is, mashallah, she is a person who is not just versatile. She's humble, she's amazing, but at the same time, let me just focus and get back to the research work that she has done. I'm really proud today that she has joined us and extracted time out of her busy schedule. Currently, she is not in Pakistan. She was with us in Pakistan, but now she has moved to Germany, mashallah, and working on her research projects. And let me just bring down all of the work that she has done in a gist, even though it is very difficult to do that. But let me just bring to everybody's notice with us today is that Fatima is an amazing researcher. She has done her research fellow, of the Henna Ardent Institute of the Dresden University. I hope that the pronunciation is correct. And she is also, she's also a member of the visiting faculty. She is a research fellow of the Sustainable Development Policy Institute, which is the SDPI. She also has the experience of teaching, and the focus that she has kept, and while she was here in Qaid Azam University, as well as a lecturer, is through the multiculturalism and development studies. So the project management is also a part of her niche, and she has worked on migration, integration, and especially over the Afghan and the Iranian refugees. She has worked a lot, and this is that one genre that she has been focusing upon. Not just this, her research is also integrated with social and political development topics. So she keeps on working on those areas as well. With all of this very great umbrella being formed in her research studies, she has also had experience with the intercultural experiences in Iran, Pakistan, and Germany. She's been living in all the three countries, of course. And she has been involved in intercultural trainings, projects, and researches. And it is amazing to know that she's independently worked with the think tanks as well, which is another of the very amazing aspects of her personality, because that has all come as naturally to her. So German political foundations and universities have been one of the genres that she has been focusing upon. And again, putting all of it in a gist, she has areas favorite, of course, to herself, and those are intercultural dialogues. And she's been working extensively over that, over the period of, say, about around a decade as well. So her PhD also has been about intercultural dialogue between Muslim and Western countries, which is a very good combination. And this is the reason why initially that Fatemeh became, connected with Read Pakistan, with books. She has been she has that zeal and zest for the books, and she has the love of books. I've always found it very interesting as a person how she, connects with people through books and otherwise as well. So her communication skills are extravagant. Let me also add a very serious niche to this, which is that Iranian German political scientist, because she has that to her credit as well. So her PhD from the University of Augsburg, which is in Germany, of course, is that one thing which has given basis, made firm for her BA in journalism and so on. So this has been there, and has formed her personality all through the years. So there's much more that I can share with you regarding Fatemeh and about her personality. But I think that all of this has generally just added up to the aura that she has, as a person, as a book lover, as a reader. And today the topic is very, very interesting. So for today, the most I would rather say the most interesting, the most elaborative in its own aspect is the aspect that we are going to talk about the books that Fatemeh has studied in the year 2023. And well, let's first of all, Fatemeh, I've said a lot. I think I should have a few words from you, and also about the books that you have been able to go through in the year 2023. How about that?
Well, firstly, thank you so much. I think we will. I don't know whether this expression exists in English, but in German we say, "You gave me a very good warm shower." Like really got in love with myself with all positive aspects which you highlighted, and this is not bad, but this is something that make me very sometimes uncomfortable, because we are the people also with weaknesses. But when you come to when you come to talk about a specific topic, people fortunately see just those positive aspects on positive dimensions. Because I mean, one of the weaknesses I have is that, for example, I always criticize myself to read very few books. And because I always see, we have talked about it, I have always see other people how many books they are managing to read a year. I know people which are going above 70 books a year, and this is really too much, and the thing is that we normal people never ever have a track of our reading. It happened that sometimes at the end of the year we sit and we want to list, and we just don't remember. And this is but still, this is always one of my critics to myself, because I think this is one of the points that we talked about it, Fatima, you and me. And I really think that we have two types of readers. One are by birth,
Yes.
and one is by discipline. By birth, I mean that people who used to read books since they are very little. I mean, always good example is my husband, because he explains me that he would always bring a lamp inside his bed, so nobody would bother him that he should sleep for and wake up tomorrow for the school, because he wanted to continue reading. The parents wanted him to sleep because he had to go to school the day after. And he was learning to read, or he was observing to read from his mother, because his mother always was in love of gathering of book reading and novel reading. You bring it to my context. I've grown up in Iran, in um, Iran-Iraq war started. I mean, I'm a child of the time of the war, and security was the most important issue of our life when we were children, and books were very few. I mean, we were happy that the schools are open.
Yeah.
So for me, what happened is that seriously after going to university, I just realized that there are hundreds, millions of books that I've never read in my life, and bringing myself to discipline myself to read books was a really, really hard work, and still is. Because
Okay.
when you grown up, you add the languages. I mean, I'm a migrant. No, so I learned also English after that. I learned German after that. I learned Urdu after that.
Wow. Yes.
So this is so how you adding to the languages of the books that comes. I think the language that you learn, it brings more responsibility, because then you have to also read on them, read
Of
in
course.
these languages, no, and bring yourself to the new world. And this was so that was the start point you told me, which um, so the start point of our session about books would be how many books have we read, and I really think that it's very, very difficult to track. Maybe we have to share some tips how we do it in 2024.
Yes.
Just paying attention how many languages we know, and paying attention, giving ourselves opportunity to read in them. In Pakistan, we have a lot of, local languages, which sometimes I think the middle class Pakistanis are ignoring to read on them also. I mean, not just speaking.
Very true. Yes.
I remember 2019 in the first session I saw you in Read Pakistan. We were one of the very hot topics was reading in national language, in local languages, right? You can recall it?
Yes, I can. And it was also regarding how children they can, sort of associate with their own regional languages and with their national language as well. Because over here in Pakistan, we also do have a number of languages in the form of regional languages, which is the L3 and L2, and then we have L1, which is of course, the English language, or maybe you can say that the national language, and then you have, of course, the mother tongue, which is again going to be Urdu. So yeah, so we have a couple of languages over here lined up as well. So at that
Yeah.
time we were trying to focus on the regional languages as well as the national language. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly, because this is also part of our identity, you know. The fact that our mind can speak in our local language is not enough to be proud of our roots, you know,
True.
to develop our identity on the roots that we trust, you know. And this is something that I also sometimes have to bring myself to this line, because if you are just lost in the books which are coming each year as a recommendation,
Yes.
you really at the end of the year you realize that you read very little on your own language. Yeah, that's so this is one of the very important topics we should not really forget, to train our mind also yearly or monthly to read in all languages we know, because this is how we update ourselves on the cultures of these languages.
That's very true. Well, that reminds me of when I was studying, when I was doing my MPhil degree. And that was the time when I was actually getting myself acquainted with the concept of integration of different cultures and languages, because I was becoming a linguist, even though it was English linguistics that I was we also had to know the other languages and the importance of regional languages and national language and how they all collaborate, but at the same time they have their own conflicts. And this is very important because all these languages, they have to coexist. Now the coexistence becomes very difficult when we talk about one region, one cultural heritage, and we also talk about, say, about a religion, say, for that matter. So we do have all those integrations, and when we talk of the language integration as well, so it's quite a lot that is in your plate to actually digest at the same time, so it does become difficult. One of the very Fatima, let me share that with you as well. One of the very effective writers of today is Tariq Rahman, who has actually written a lot of books about culture integration, how languages have affected the presence of other languages, how English has been made essential for the culture of Pakistan. I'm talking about this Pakistani writer Tariq Rahman. So basically, of course, he has world renown as well to his name and quite some fame, of course. But when we say Tariq Rahman, we talk about all that integration, cultural manifestations, and we talk about the language manifestations as well. So this part of the regime, I would rather say, and the cultural integration, it becomes, I think, really important. And because you are a student as well as a very effective lecturer and teacher at the same time, I would like you to, show, your ideas to the people who are going to listen to this interview. I'm also whoever is going to join us now and people who have joined us, but at the same time this is going to go on YouTube and it will remain there for some time, and also on our website and our channel. So I want you to share your views so that it can later be reviewed by other people as well. So about Tariq Rahman and also about the culture as well as the language integration, please.
Yeah. Well, about Tariq Rahman, I think I read just one book. If you could just help me, I think he has a book on Urdu language and Indian language, and
Yes.
I think yeah.
No, please go ahead. Yes.
I hope that I'm not mistaken his name, and I think he took a very, very brave, critical approach, which many elites in Pakistan do not do not dare to do that. You know,
Yes.
so looking at the history of India and Pakistan, talking about similarities and differences is a very brave action. And this is how you have to learn also from a writer, a good writer, an influencer. No, so this is how, because this is how people are showing us a writer, a book, a good book shows us the ways of critical analysis and critical thinking,
Yeah.
doing no compromise about reality. If
That's
this is
true.
reality, he's saying that, and if he's not, is not saying that. The fact that he's talking about it is very. It's always hot news. Language, this language is very. It's always. It never ever get old. So it's even not a burn news, and many of us would not dare to talk about current news. We
Yes.
had 2023, lots of bad and horrible news. Also good news, but I mean, what comes on the news is bad news. Bad news is good news. So we had the conflict in Israel and Palestine. We had a lot of climate change disasters, and this just take these two examples, and either people are talking about it empty talks, knowing nothing, or just not talking about it. And I was just thinking that look how we can really form the selection of our books
Yes.
just by going through. We never ever can be journalists right now and go to Gaza or Israel or I don't know, to Iceland. Iceland, I think, had kind of also this this phenomenon of fire the last 3 weeks. But we can inform ourselves about background and history. And this is something we really need. A reader need line of critical thinking. And reading about the context, reading about the background would help us because so many news you never ever can really know what is the reality. Either you make for yourself a platform, a platform to see what is correct and what is not, to make a judgment.
Yes.
So this is very very important, how we select the books of each year. And for me, I talked to a lot of people who had empty talk about this news, asking them whether they have read any book on Israel or Palestine, and they didn't.
Oh,
It
wow.
is really, it's very it's easy to say now. Read a book on topic. You have been in a lot of international events, Fatima, yourself. You see sometimes people just open the mouth to talk about Pakistan, and the moment they start, you just know that they don't know what they are talking about. And I
That is.
promise, if you ask them, yeah, I promise if you ask them, sir or lady, did you read any book on Pakistan? The answer is no.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I think that's also something which is very unfortunate, Fatemeh. I go through a lot of books, and recently I have been going through a lot of political books as well because of how the political scenario is developing in Pakistan, and everybody is very inquisitive. They would like to know. They would like to sensitize themselves through books and through journals and through different newspaper headings, maybe just little columns that they're getting their hands upon. So when I go through a lot of books, the very unfortunate thing that I feel in the current moment, or as far as Pakistan is concerned, don't want to put a bad word or even a good word. It's just an analysis that we're trying to do here. Is that generally when you start reading the books, the writers from Pakistan, they usually, I have seen it, and I don't feel that this is a contrast that I feel that the international books, they have a very analytical approach, they have a very research based approach, they have a very, I would rather say that they have thesis, antithesis, synthesis in their books. Over here I feel that the most of the writers in the Pakistani community, and all respects because they are very good writers as well, but generally if you say from a scale from 1 till 10, you will feel that there is some sort of lag. Because why? Because there is no thesis, synthesis, antithesis. No, because they just want to dictate some opinions. Unfortunately, sometimes those opinions become negative as well, because we're all humans. We are liable towards negative thoughts. And so how this evolves, this turns out to be something which is not likely to fall into the positive bucket. So I feel that thing is also there. I'll give an example. Recently, I read a few books about, how after the creation of Pakistan, the political scenario evolved. And frankly speaking, it at one side it opened up a lot of aspect for me, but at the other end, it brought up such um, I would rather say emotional nuisance to my personality, because I felt that, oh my God, I've been lagging so much information, and all of that was negative as well. And I've been supporting the wrong cause, maybe. So this kind of commotion that, enters your psychological system, I think that is also one of the negative implications that reading would manifest in you. Now,
Yes.
like you've said, how to let's bring it forward to another sort of side. how do you think, Fatemeh, we can select books? Say, for instance, what are the, I wouldn't say the good reads and the bad reads, but do you think that there is a scale that can actually tell us that we need to study these books, we don't need to study or go for these books, and how we can select a couple of books as per our own personality? Do you think that there is some formula to it as well? Because when I pick up a book, Fatima, it's always out of interest, but I wouldn't say I was a very avid reader, but I was reading something or the other since I was a child. But when people come to me and ask me these questions that, okay, I'm 27 years old, say for instance, and they say I'm 27 years old and tell me, how do I go to the market and just simply select a book? I don't know which is a good one or a bad one, and so on. So let's talk about that as well. How do you pick and choose a good book?
Well, I mean, firstly, I would say going to people who are a good reader. For example, Fatima, you are a good reader. You are a reader by birth. So this is the more you read, the more you get a discipline and you get your own criteria. Thank you. And you get a good criteria how you have to select a book. But firstly, generally there are different ways. First, I just mentioned in our last part of talk what are the main topics of our world. This
Yes.
can really formulate our book selections. Conflict, uh, climate change, this type of religious conflict, which are really not religious conflict, they are political conflicts. But the second thing is that we actually are getting recommendations, and recommendations are coming from different sources. A good teacher is introducing us a book. A good friend is introducing us a book. There are a list of best books of New York Times, I don't know, 2023, 2022. There are a list 100 best books of the world. This is a very uh, this is a very famous but also old list. Sometimes get some update, but mostly is the same, you know. So The Great Gatsby is always in this list, for example. Um, so there are lists, there are criteria, there are competitions a year, and sometimes I even have a look at them because I feel that I should not really go to my how to say to my own cave, to my own isolation. We should also not should not get kind of, how to say, a kind of rusted, a kind of old people who just read books and have no connections with the real world. So it's not bad to look at the updated list of yearly what are the best books, but it's not enough. I always check, and how I check is that this is always I always remember I had a very good Pakistani friend here who actually defended his PhD earlier than me, very, very hardworking. And he came to Germany and we became at the same time a student of PhD. And he made a very interesting question. And that was that, Fatima, how do you read book? And I was very surprised because I knew that he is reading book.
Yeah.
But he was brave enough to ask me, how do I read book? And then I realized, we talked and I realized what is his question. The question was that, how do you select? How do you trust? How do you make a risk of making time to read a book?
Yes.
And that was, and that was very brilliant question. Many of us are so arrogant to ask such a question because we say, oh, if I ask, she thinks I'm stupid. How can anybody ask such a question? So the thing is that you have to always start with, sorry?
Yeah, because, and also because then the other person would judge that you're not a reader, really, because, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. But I just tell you that it always comes to my mind how important are some questions that we sometimes do not dare even to ask. And so that's the criteria is that always going to the table of content. It's very easy. Go to table of contents and see how makes sense the structure of this book, and
Right.
then make a good time to read the introduction. If
Yeah.
this is something which gives you some really good instructions and good introduction and good a possibility
Yes.
to present what is coming in this book, then you can select some chapters and
Yes.
read the book.
Yes.
Because not all the books of good books of the of the world are roman or novel. Sometimes you have topical books, and the life is too short to read whole the book. But
Yeah.
if you go really good, make a good time for table of contents, make a good time for introduction, selecting some chapters, then you may also return at some in some months to read whole the book. So
That's true.
this
So, do you think these platforms, that different platforms that people use, like say, for instance, Goodreads and so on, so these are different platforms, and of course the Pulitzer Awards, and so these book awards and everything. So, do you think that those are also very good, say, for instance, tools that can be used for for selection of books as well, or do you think no, they actually deviate you from the real reads? What do you say about that?
perfect. This is absolutely very one of the good ways. This is like I told you. This is also one of these methods, like going through the best books of 2023. I don't know, New York Times, but this Goodreads also good. But I will go for a second uh, testing,
Okay.
which with finding nowadays many books which are published in internet. You can see table of contents and you can see introduction.
Okay.
So so you get a recommendation from Goodreads, but you
Yeah.
check yourself whether this is a book for your personality, because this is the point. Once we talked last time about Fatima, some books are even good books, but they
Yes.
are not my book. This is
They're
not
not.
something that fits to me. So trust. You should trust ourselves.
Yes.
if if this is we have well, I think if a German here is would really be disappointed from me to say you that I started a book. Alexander Platz is a very famous book in German literature, and I could not really manage reading more than 20 pages. It's just not my book. And this is hell famous in German literature. And I really come to this decision that Fatemeh, if you really cannot connect to this book, it's
Yes.
totally okay. Just move on to the next book and don't waste your time,
True.
giving yourself bad feeling that, oh, stupid you cannot read the best book of the German literature.
Of course, of course. The same is actually true about German literature, about Russian literature. They're all those kind of literatures which I personally call them the taste of a coffee that you have for yourself. I mean, if you have the taste for coffee, then you wouldn't go for anything else. But if you don't have the taste for coffee, then there's every possibility that you would just not be able to sip even one sip of coffee down your throat. It would be very difficult for you. And yes, that is very true for books as well, because these are those kind of literatures which have a very doleful sort of stigma to them. I wouldn't say stigma, I would rather say they have that aura, which is sort of very morbid,
Exactly.
very,
Yes.
yeah. So it is hard to digest kind of literature. And I think for that kind of literature, you need to have a certain kind of mood, a certain kind of temperament, and then you need to absorb that. So if you don't have it at the current time, you might just have it after a year. But let's just go for that year that you would like. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yes, I do understand, and I think that you're perfectly correct about that, Fatima. two or three other things that are very important and are directly related with books. So basically this year we are, I'll tell to the audience as well, and the people who are going to listen to this cast afterwards. So well, basically what has happened is that we have been working since 2019, and mashallah, you have been engaged with Read Pakistan, Fatima, yourself, while you were here in Pakistan. And we took the initiative of starting in 2019 the NRC, which is the National Readers Conference. And I remember on the first platform when we met, and that was the time when I wanted all the literature to basically become, of course, the regional languages and so on that we've talked about as well. But at that time, I was very much inquisitive that we should have different forms of literature on one platform. And I remember that you were there. We had a gentleman from UK who joined in. We had Jochen with us from Germany. You yourself was there from Iran, representing Iranian literature and so on. And then, of course, we had other people as well who joined in. Now, I remember we started that National Readers Conference and the introduction to it in 2019. Now, alhamdulillah, 20 universities up till now in this day are connected with us. Now, so do you think
Wow.
in 2023, yes, it's a long path that we've come across.
Excellent.
It has been good. It has been good. So, Fatemeh, you saw that in 2019 we had, I think, three universities at that time. And from there, the journey has sort of paved its way through. Now, do you think that this kind of activity is better for the reading community to be developed? Because I would like you to say something about the Pakistan, because you've been here. So I would like you to state a few statements about how Pakistani culture can be made into a reading culture. While you stay in Germany, where everybody, it's like you have your daily coffee mug or you have your daily teacup. It is more or less like that in Germany. You have your own personal read patch, which is just there, and it's a part of your daily routine. It is not something out of the box that you're doing. So,
Mhm.
keeping NRC, National Readers Conference, and integrating all the universities together for holding up a competition, this was our idea to manifest in the Pakistani society. Do you think that keeping German community in mind and Pakistani community in mind, what suggestions would you really like to give for the German community? Two or three, maybe just, and for the Pakistani community as well. So, do you think that, and also, while I state this, do you think that German culture even needs this kind of integration, or do you think it's fine? They're doing the right way, and you have ideas for Pakistani, community, how we can be made as a reading, community. I know it's a
Well,
big
I
question.
should be very, I should have been very arrogant to say what should Pakistani population do for be a better reader, because I'm not Pakistani and I don't have that much knowledge on Pakistan. We should always be very careful talking about other countries. I'm serious about it.
True, true.
And Jochen, my husband is, yeah, one can say it's Pakistan expert.
Yes,
And before I come to Pakistan, I wrote two book reviews on Pakistan,
yes, you did.
and
Yes.
I wrote I think three reports in Pakistan at the end when I was returning about the immigration policy, and still it is very tricky even to call me Iran expert, although I am Iranian and I studied on this field. But
Okay.
I can tell you very basic things. Pakistan and Germany are very different in term of literacy rate. You
Yes.
cannot expect a population which is correct me, but I think if we go through a real a statistic, we talk about half of the population is not literated, is
True.
not the literacy rate is low. So we have here some more homework to do.
True.
So the first step is extending developing literacy and gender responsive, means that really thinking about women and men,
Yes.
working on the culture that the woman literacy, woman work is very important to develop whole Pakistan as a nation. So this is the first thing that and this is a hard work, and this is a long term work, and this is something that on top we have to do it, whether we are in Read Pakistan or not. No, so this is really a very important homework for us. But about the people, the second level is that to change, to work on the on judgment, on analysis, ability of all the people. We talk about more than 200 million population
Yes.
of Pakistan, and part of the thing is that they believe gossips in some villages more than the news which is coming in the newspaper.
True.
And you have to really work on this, that people give the people the tool of literacy, the tool of education. Then people
Yeah.
find a way how to check and compare the news. So this is
Right.
the second thing. We have to work also on mindset, because this is also the same in Iran, that whatever comes in newspaper, people don't believe, but whatever my neighbor or the bakery told me, I believe that more. We saw that also in COVID time, that these kinds of conspiracy theory was much more stronger than studies on the virus.
That's
So
true.
that was just one example to say that how much we have to work on this belief system, on this analysis system. But the third thing that I hope that all students who are a fellow of Read Pakistan take it damn serious, is that we have to work on readers and make them critical readers. I think this is the responsibility that very relevant Read Pakistan can take. We don't need just reader. We already have the reader. The problem is that this reader a year take half an hour time for reading books which are not his study books. Because the study books, everybody knows that a student read because he should pass the semester. But so you have to work on the readers
Yes.
and make them eager, interested readers. And for that, we have then you and me, Fatima, have more to do, because then we have to really talk and challenge people how they select the books, on which topic,
Yes.
how many books they, because at one point it's very important that you at all have read a book on climate change, but then I have to ask how many book, because the views are different. Some people say climate change is not a problem. In 10 years, we have everything okay. It will be everything okay. It will changing. And some people say, no, the damage we are creating for this nature is so bad that it never ever can recover. So we have even different views on a topic. So that is why I mean making a critical reader.
That's very
This
true.
is
That's
something that we can do.
Yes, yes. I think that is a very nice answer to the question that I had put in front of you, because basically, yes, one of the very critical things is that we start critically examining how we're reading. Now, there are 2 to 3 stages when we're doing that, and I would like to share it because this is going to, at this current time, it is going live, but we would be able to share it with, the platforms later than this as well. And once it is there on the YouTube, maybe later people can just look at it. And I think this would be very helpful for them to know that when you're doing critical thinking, number one stage is that you critically evaluate how you're picking up a book. But then you also should be knowing that while you're reading it, there has to be, like I said before, that the thesis, antithesis, and synthesis needs to be there in the book, and for you to extract what you're looking for. And then once you've pulled out what you've looked for, now then comes a later stage, which you and I would understand, and I want other people to know as well, that is the time when you need to implement it as well. So once you know what was the moralistic pattern to it, what was the ethical pattern to it, or the practical pattern to it, to a book, that is the time when you start implementing it as well. No matter if it was knowledge based, then has your information set improved? Number one. If it was based upon, like you've said, environmental studies, so what have you practically done to improve your surroundings? So now you're talking about philosophy. Say, you've picked out a book which is, related with philosophy. That actually means that you need to evaluate how philosophical illustrations can manifest in your life, and if they do manifest themselves in your life, how do you think that you're going to evolve into a better human being, and how you would take yourself up, what you would do to sort of infest the ideology in your life, and how you'll improve your brain technology and so on. So all of this needs to be incorporated, until and unless that synthesis has not been made a part of your personality. I think the implementation part is not just there. And I've
Mhm.
seen, so basically I just share my personal experience when I remember then we were struggling against, read Pakistan's different I would rather say we were going through different phases. And I remember at one time I felt that, oh my god, this is not working out well, and I don't know what to do with this. So I just sat in my library, and so you've seen my library. We've been doing things from there as well, and we've been doing read talks from there too. So I was just sitting there and thinking about it, that what am I supposed to do? And I picked up a book which was actually about the setup, the organograms, how an NGO or a trust can work, and how people can put their energies into it. How important is a human resource? How important is it to actually have real, say, about grants or funds? If you don't take them, what is the implication? How can you not take grants and still be successful? And I remember that by the end of that book, when I put it down, I was saying to myself that this is exactly what I wanted, probably. So yes, every book has its value. You do the synthesis, the thesis, the antithesis, the synthesis, and what you drive out is going to be, I would rather say, the real wisdom out of a certain book. But the implementation part is very important. I always sort of digest books, so I try to make them a part of my personality, I would rather say. Not everything comes out to be the way it is supposed to, but still I try my levels best that it should be incorporated in my person. So Fatima, one last question, because we're running short of time as well.
But I have
So
to tell you something. This is you digest the books and you make you connect them to your own problem.
yes, yes,
This
this is
is one of the very important ways. If any of the fellows who are now listening to us or seeing us, hearing that, this is the stage that you really can trust, that you
yes.
made function of book reading,
Hmm.
because the book that you read and today and tomorrow want to continue and you don't remember even where you were,
True.
this is not continued. This did not played here with your problems, with your context, with your
Yes.
background. And one of the motivations we can work on for Read Pakistan is to talk to people, that they have to discover in themselves how can a book really help them. And this is
Yes.
not coming without having a rich experience of book reading, because this is not coming at once. The first day you are starting to learn a foreign language, you cannot speak in it,
Of course.
but but you are but you are constructing the knowledge of foreign language in your mind. And
Yes.
after a time, after a period, you will be able to understand it, to listen to it, to understand it, to write it, and then somehow talking in it. And this is about book reading. You cannot really expect yourself that you immediately make a functional tool of book reading without having this rich experience of book reading. And again, I said you are a very good example, Fatima, because you are a reader by birth. Okay, sorry, that was my point.
No, I think that is a very wonderful point because this is very important. People who are not readers from the very, say for instance, from childhood, and they're picking it up, and I must say that this is very important. That how you integrate the wisdom of that book into real life happenings, and how you integrate that with the surroundings that you have around yourself. So maybe readers can pick up, a book, and then they say, yes, it is about. History patrons, maybe for that matter, or about the international dilemma or the international political system. But then they have to see from the frame of that book, they have to see their own system, their own country. They have to incorporate that theology into their own systems, and how they make wisdom out of it, how they make the best opportunity out of it. Yes, definitely, I think this is an amazing part of reading a book, how you manifest it in your own circumstances, how you take out the gist of it and put it across in your own happenings, and then you take the most of it, or the
Mhm.
most benefit out of it. So yes,
Definitely.
definitely, this is definitely very important. Another thing, do you think, Fatemeh, that in the coming year, so the year has already started, 2024, do you think this year you have some specific collection of books in your mind, or a different genre in mind that you have not tapped before, and now you want to tap it this year? Because it's very important for us to have a list of books, but it's even more important to know what you want to move yourself towards. It's always the direction that sort of dictates,
Yeah.
denotes that kind of, yeah. So
Well, I should
so what
tell
do you have?
you, I started to buy some books among the list of the best,
Okay.
I don't know, best books of the year, and some of them
Okay.
I still wait because this is kind of a pre-publication, a prepayment for publication, which is coming in February or March. Um, but
Okay.
one of the books which, for example, I bought already and I finished
Okay.
is is Yellow Face. Oops.
Okay.
This is a
Yes.
roman.
Yes. I've.
Um,
Mm,
yes, this is a roman. It's not that good that I have heard, but it is entertainment. It's kind of beside bed book. So I promised
okay.
myself this year I have a better plan of reading also in Farsi because I read very little in Farsi and this is so
Wow.
bad. And yeah, so this is one of the books, and the other book I will show you. Um, this is about the history of
Okay.
time of Jesus, and this is history. So if somebody is
Mm-hmm.
very
Wow.
radical religious Christian, I think would be pissed off. But because sometimes in history you see facts which
Yes.
are not that nice to hear as a believer. So very interesting things.
Interesting
Um,
things.
but the thing is that okay, I also checked all the books that I already have in my bookshelf.
Okay.
You can see my bookshelf here, uh, and
No, it's good. I like it.
surprisingly, surprisingly, I realized that about 25 books that I thought I read, I never read. So, so you buy a book, you're happy that you have it, and sometimes because some books are coming, you just forget. So this is kind of yeah, this is my homework for this year, finishing the books which are already in my library, and I didn't read them, and getting some recommendation, going through and checking them whether they fit to me. And this year, I promised myself to visit more the library of the city because we cannot afford to buy all the books.
Of course. Of
Um,
course.
and I told you that the topics of this year, for me, I promised myself at the end of this year at least read 5 books on the conflict of Israel and Palestine. And I started the first one. I'm already finishing the first one. So yeah, this is how I plan for 2024. But as you said, what you plan does not mean that you reach the goal at the end, but we are hoping.
Well, I believe in a slightly different way. I believe that if you want to reach to a goal and you've planned, then there is every possibility that you will reach it. I remember like about five, no, more years to my life. Uh, I had that timetable, the omnipreneurs timetable, and because I'm very fond of timetables and everything, so I was just making sure that it's also there on my table besides my other calendars. It was there, the omnipreneurs table. And then I marked it, and very interesting thing, and I'm just going to share it with you, and I don't know if when this is going to go. This is going to, of course, be a part of YouTube probably, and our channel as well, our talk this. So I don't know if that's going to leave a strange impression, but um, one thing that I would like to share is that once I wrote it down 5 years back, and because in that little timetable, in the omnipreneurs table, I had in mind that yes, I will keep the 5 year plan so and so. And today, Fatima, when I still have that, by the way, with me. So I picked it up a few days earlier, and I saw, and I was really amazed that all the things that I wrote 5 years earlier, somehow or the other, they have all been accomplished. And I
Wow.
said, "Oh my God! I mean, I writing it with some special pen, because I would like to have that pen back in my hand again." And all that I thought of has been, alhamdulillah, by the grace of God, that has turned into an accomplishment today. So I think that's very important. What we're thinking, the direction that we set for ourselves, how we want to stage ourselves in front of our life. Because sometimes we're just doing things in a certain way, but in the back of our mind and our soul is preparing grounds for things to happen. And I do believe in intuition, because I've formally studied intuition as well. But at the same time, I believe in other sets of modalities which are there. Like, for instance, if you're thinking hard enough, it will happen. Like, the universe does
Yes.
provoke certain things, and it actually gets those things for you, and they're lined up for you somehow or the other then. And also, I believe in self performance too, because I believe that once you've started to put tags, yes, this is where I'm going to reach, this is where I'm going to do, this is my roadmap, this is where I want to be, say, about after a year. And somehow or the other, there is some angel which is just trying to note down and jot down all the points for you, and thinking, okay, let me do this for you, let me do that for you. And I think it really works. And I think the same goes for book reading as well. Sometimes I say to myself that, okay, this time I'm going to say, for instance, I'm going to read very difficult text, and that text come from, like the way you've said, that you want to go for Farsi. And you should go for The Blind Owl, the book that is on top of the list nowadays, because it's in Farsi, and I don't know Farsi actually, so I wouldn't be a very good person recommending books to you. But because it goes top in the line, then okay, yeah, so it's something that I can recommend to you as well.
Could you
But I
then after that write it for me, because then I really want to go through this suggestion.
Okay, I'm going to write over here in the
Good.
blind owl. So it's over here. Can you see this table that we have? I mean, we're sharing the same. So in this StreamYard sheet on the right, we have questions coming in from different people, and over
Mhm.
here I've written the blind owl, and you can pick it up from there. But it has good reviews. I mean, of course, because you want to read something in Farsi, Persian, and so on. I don't know how to do that. So I wouldn't be a very good recommendation
Sure,
specialist
you
for
can be.
that
Of course, of course, of
matter.
course. Thank you so much for the suggestion.
Yeah,
Which
thank you.
books you are going through this year?
Okay, so 2024 is going to be somewhat a mixture of a lot of books, because 2023 was also a sort of a mixture. Fatemeh, I had studied a lot of books about self-development. I have studied a few books regarding psychology. I've been through few books about meditation, and about yeah, Yeah, so that, and then I've been through different energies. So the Chinese, I've been going through the Japanese and Chinese energies, how they affect, and the auras, how they inculcate their presence in our life. So I was trying to get those, and then of course I've due to those, I've read about a few dynasties as well. So those dynasties, I would rather say, are also a part of it, but I wasn't very peculiar about the dynasties. I was more peculiar about the energies that were around. So these were, so the colors, how they affect our personality. So in 2023, and I would rather say in 2022 as well, because I was at that time becoming Reiki master. So I started in that time, and then meditation, and a bit of Sufism as well. So I have these past 2 years, I've been focusing a lot about Rumi, how Shams Tabriz had moved, and so on. And so in 2022, my focus was spirituality. In 23, it was more towards the Japanese and Chinese amalgamation, and so it was that. And meditation, yes, I've and yes, the different forms of energies, how they have their influence, like the 8 different forms that we have in our room. And I think that's very good, Fatima, because then in your room, in your say about in your bedroom, you have a good energy patch and a bad energy patch. In your office, you have a good energy patch, and how you can benefit from them. Now that might just not be a part of our belief system, but I feel that there is wisdom in everything that is around us.
I
So there
see.
is wisdom. Yes, so there is a bit of wisdom in each thing that we're reading. So I was able, alhamdulillah, to make channels in my home, in my room, in my bedroom, and I was able to make channels in my office as well, and practically implement those. But I couldn't really implement it in the real sense, because it was because I was supposed to have a compass, and with that compass I was supposed to know where the positive energy is coming from. And so it's a whole big school that we need to sort of work upon. And I think that was very good. Then the Silva methodology, I have studied Silva in 2023. I have worked upon a couple of other things, which includes self enhancement, how we can have our energies at different levels, and how we can improve as a person. So I was trying to have courses on these. I was reading on this, and so different forms of. So I do meditation in the morning, and when I do that, it's sort of every time that I can get a better view of how I am. So I also read Bulle Shah. So the Sufism tinge stayed
Yes.
intact. Yes, so it stayed intact, and so I could know that the voice of the heart. Okay, so there was this one thing, like you've just sorted out a few problems that we face in life. I had a problem, I couldn't hear my brain and I couldn't hear my heart. So what I have learned is that Sufi tinge alongside Chinese and Japanese methodologies and meditation. So all these, and Reiki, of course, I myself being a Shinpidin now, alhamdulillah. So I realized that all these energies, all these positive energies actually could give me that sort of power or energy in a way that I could listen to my heart's voice. So intuition eventually, and then I could also listen to my brain voice. So one very difficult thing for me was that I it was all jumbled up. It just says one voice here, one voice here. I was like, there was a lot of noise inside. But this year, due to reading, I must say that I could sort of pull out my brain voice and my heart voice, and that was what was really important for me as a person. So this was what I've gained. And so thanks to all those wise people out there. Some of them were Japanese, some of them were Chinese, some I don't know, and Bulisha, and some were spiritual and everything. So this year, 2024, Fatemeh, I'm planning to actually invest on 2 aspects of my life. One is again going to be Read Pakistan's aspect, which is going to be how I can be of more benefit to the community at large. And so for that, I need to devise myself. I need to reiterate my slogans actually to myself, so that I can be a more, refined person generally, and be more help to the community. So this is one of my target regarding this. I will read as much as I can. And the other aspect is going to be, so you're listening, and I feel that, I hope that you're not, thinking that I'm going a little cuckoo.
No, no,
So,
no, no, no. Actually, I wanted
okay,
just to
okay.
give
So,
it this is comment that this is how actually talking to a reader, because because this is also bringing in a short time very good recommendations for new topics to read. And so you have a very good briefing of how you develop your topics and you come to the next year. No, I'm enjoying listening to you.
yes, yes. I think, Fatima, I think this we all need to do. As in, how can you not? I mean, I do say that I have the love for books. I wouldn't say that I am a reading evangelist, which is the term being used nowadays for, crazy people all over the books all the time. I am not that, but I still love books. And so with all that I still love books. And so I'm not an evangelist, but yes, I'm a book lover. And if I call myself that, then I need to have and I need to give that space to the books that I have in life. I need to give that, my thought for a minute or two or maybe more to the books that I want to have. So in 2024, the genre that I am trying to focus upon is, yes, one is definitely going to be Palestine and Israel, because I have read a lot about them, but I feel that there is this, not just as a Muslim, which Alhamdulillah, I'm happy to be a Muslim, but as a person, as a human,
As a human.
I yes. And so, Fatima, my focus is going to be, um, I don't understand one thing. I have read so many books, I've met so many people, and I don't understand that how can you be so cold and so cruel to a human being who's a life just like you. I want to understand. I want to see from their eyes. I want to read from their eyes. I want to read from their mind. How do they look at things? How do they kill children? How does it happen? It's not about being a Muslim or a non-Muslim. It's
How they
about
give the right to a person to be dead, on how they say that this person deserves to be dead and this
yes.
other person does not deserve. How? Who are you?
I have no idea, and I am completely unacquainted with that emotion, which can actually throw I can't do it. As in, when I think of it, I am just incapable of even thinking of harming other people. And I feel this is strange, because I would really like to know, how does it happen? How? I mean, why? Okay, but how do you do it? Even if somebody is being the worst to you, even if you have a lot of reasons, those reasons are just coming from here. How does this say yes, do it? So
Yes.
this yes, that's coming from your heart. I want to know that yes. And now in 2023, that I know that there is a voice that comes from your brain and there's a voice that comes from your heart. I understand the voice that says from your brain, okay, do it. It's a bad thing, but do it. You can be evil. It's easy to be bad. It's evil to, it's good to be evil, XYZ. But I know that there's a voice that comes and says, "Don't do it," because that voice doesn't come from here. It comes from here. I want to know, how does it happen that this voice says the same as this? And for this, I am going to read in 2024. I want to know. I want to understand, where does this theology, where does this thinking, where does this come from? Because I don't know the center of it, Fatima. I'm so incapable of understanding this, I don't know, emotion. I don't even know if it is an emotion. This is just a very inhuman sort of a thing which doesn't even
Yeah.
have an emotion.
And
So
this is so just saying one sentence, this is so occupying a whole the discussions, but
yeah,
also at the same time people really want to be cautious to talk about it.
Yeah.
for all security reasons. But this is very important to for me to observe that most of the people are really want to side themselves to one of these parties. Are you with Israel or are you with Palestine? What type of question is that?
No,
It's
exactly.
it's not
This
a
is,
it's not a
yes.
game.
No,
It's not
and
a game.
it's not a game. And also, I think there has to be no size. Somebody did this, and you did this, and then it is not about. Fatima, I'll be very honest. A few videos, and I can really vouch for it. And I think my friends would be able to vouch for this as well. They strictly don't let me see videos, and I don't see videos on my own because I don't even know the person, but I cry at night. I cry if I pick up a phone, and if for the prayers when I get up in the morning, and I just sit down, and it's just heart wrenching how it's not about. I don't even know if they're Muslim. I don't even have to think about it that they're Muslims. I don't have to think about it that they are non-Muslims. I don't
Sure.
get into
Yes.
that because it just
Yes.
doesn't come to me. It's just
Yes. Yes.
human life. And how can you just not pay regard to human life? So it's just not about taking sides. This is just way too I think it's very preliminary, but I think I just want to know that how do you come into that motion, or if that kind of I don't know what to call it, because it's not. I think there's a lack of motion or lack of emotion there. So I think with that kind of thing, it's not about Muslim, non-Muslim. It's not about you being at one side or the other. It's not about a political agenda, non-political agenda. It's not a diplomatic thing to say or not to say. It's not a fear factor. It's not something that we can just say, oh, okay, happened, not happened. It is something that is existing in this world. I want to know how, because this is something really just is not just not possible. It just doesn't come into that. So the boomerang effect is going to come. They need to think about that as well. And what we call in Urdu is makafate amal. So the boomerang effect is that the makafate amal. If you understand, of course, I know that you understand Urdu, and a lot of other things. Yes. So and a lot of other things as well. But my notion for 2024 is that I just want to know, how does this happen? I
Yeah.
want to know. So that's about it. There's nothing
That's
political,
sure.
non-political about it, but it's just I want to know how. So I think we've already
Inshallah,
crossed.
we at the end of 2024 make a session to talk how what we learned about the topic
Yes,
from
and
the
we
books.
should.
Yes.
And I'm definitely going to coach a few books as well. But at the same time, I think we've already exceeded the time for the session. But I think it's good that we've talked about all of this that we really did want to talk about, Fatemeh. And thank you so very much for for giving us time. I'm not going to say that by the end of this year. Rather, I would tap you in the middle of this year to know what you're
Inshallah.
doing, how you're doing, what readings going, how we're moving towards that, what we wanted to attain in 2024, and so on. So this is what I
Inshallah.
have in mind, inshallah. And so
Inshallah.
if God permits, we are definitely going to do that. For the people who later joined us and who are going to watch this on our YouTube channel, and maybe we drop a few instances out of this talk for our website as well. I just want to share that I have shared the introduction of Miss Fatemeh Kamali with you. She is the ambassador of Read Pakistan, currently in Germany, and a very vivid, a very ferocious reader. She is
Thank
an
you.
amazing person, a humble person,
Mm.
a very loving, dear friend of
Thank
mine.
you.
But at the same time, intellectually, she holds such great prestige because when I say a researcher, she is a real researcher in the real sense. let me add on to this that while she was here in Pakistan, we could talk about a lot of topics, because she was at that time, currently she's there in Germany, but at that time when she was here in Pakistan, she was working upon the areas of PhD, which she had done from Oxford, Germany. And she had her basis in journalism, which she did in BA, and in masters, which we call MA here in Pakistan. She had focused her studies on North American studies from the University of Tehran, which is in Iran, of course. Taking up from there, she has been working as a journalist, as a representation of NGO activists. So she's been having her different focuses, and it was full of energy. A person who has a number of talents to her personality, but at the same time working at the Quaid-e-Azam University faculty as the researcher, as the deliverer, and I would rather say that as a political think tank, and working under the umbrella of international relations. Now that she is in Germany, she is active as a volunteer, as well advisor and translator for refugees. Also, to add that she has had great versatility when it came to refugees of Iran and Afghanistan as well. And so she has been working upon those areas as well, for migrants as well, for asylum seekers as well. So these are the areas that she has been working upon. I had already given her profile in the beginning, and if you'd like to know more about Fatemeh, then please, you can just go for the beginning of this, and you would know that how avidly she has been working for different sectors, how she has been fulfilling her responsibility as a very thorough professional, as a person who has been giving out to the community, and as a person who has made a difference here in Pakistan, before that in Iran, and now she's making her difference in Germany. So thank you so very much, Fatima, that you were with us.
Thank you so
And
much. Thank you
no,
so
thank
much
you.
again for such a positive introduction. And I don't know, this is something at the beginning I said. Thank you to see so positive, and thank you, and thank Read Pakistan for making it possible. I know that you also have very busy schedule. This is really good that we made it. And I have to really especially thank Read Pakistan, because this was the moment in my life that I really made thinking about critical reading, and taking reading books as a topic. It was never ever in my mind or in my thoughts before I actually met you, and and get to know the activities of Read Pakistan. And I think it's amazing progress that you made, and this also thanks to your wonderful communication knowledge, and this power of wanting to do that. And this is not easy and this is not something that's it's normal. It's I think many Pakistan should be happy to have you as a volunteer help, as a volunteer
Thank you.
book lover.
But
Thank you so
I miss
much.
you so much. I still remember those talks at your rooftop. So you don't need to tell the world about that.
Hopefully we do this again. Who knows? Maybe this
Yes,
year.
I hope so. I hope so. I really hope so. Take care of yourself, Fatima. Thank you so
Thank
very
you so
much.
much. Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Goodbye.
Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.